On this episode of China Uncensored, China doesn't have a military? Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. So, China doesn't have a military, and I know what you're thinking. Now hold on, Chris. It seems almost every day we hear about China developing a new fighter jet or aircraft carrier or threatening military action against Japan. Okay, sure, there was that time China's state-run media, CCTV, used footage from Top Gun and passed it off as a military drill. And then there was the time they used a map to describe troop movements between Turkey, Iraq, and Iran that looked an awful lot like a map in the popular online video game World of Warcraft. So perhaps China's army is an army of dreamers, but China still is an army, right? Well, not really. China, the country, doesn't have a military. The Chinese Communist Party does. Same thing, right? Actually, no. They're two very different things, and this is almost never explained in the Western media. For most of the beginning of the 20th century, the Communist Party was trying to take over China from the Kuomintang Nationalist Party. They weren't really making any progress until World War II when Japan invaded China. Eventually, the Japanese were expelled, but the Kuomintang armies were ravaged. That's when the Communist Party seized the country and expelled the Kuomintang. It's actually a little funny that the Chinese regime always stirs up anti-Japanese sentiment because, really, they played a pretty big role in the party's takeover. Actually, I think a party official did say that once. What was his name? Oh right, Chairman Mao. Japanese capitalists and warlords have done a good deed for the communists. If ever we need to say thank you, I would like to say thank you to the Japanese warlords. So needless to say, not everyone in China was very happy that this guerrilla army of communists just seized control of the government. So as Mao Zedong consolidated his power, he famously said, "All political power comes from the barrel of a gun. The Communist Party must command all the guns, that way no guns can ever be used to command the party. In China, you can't own a gun. The only ones with guns are the People's Liberation Army, and they're controlled directly by the Chinese Communist Party, not the state or the government of China." That's 3 million soldiers, the world's largest active military, that pays allegiance directly to the Communist Party, not to the Chinese government, and they're certainly not there to defend the Chinese people. There is no state military, only the hired guns of the party. To put it in a way that's easy to understand, imagine that in the US, the Republican Party, or the Democrat Party, choose your poison, seize control over the government, dissolved the US military and established their own personal army, and forced everyone to do what they say. That's been China for the past 60 years. And here's where it gets weird. China still has a government. It's just that the Communist Party has latched on to every level of it, kind of like a parasite. So in China, you have your government officials at the provincial level, down to the city, county, township, and village level. But then, at each of those levels, you also have what's called a party secretary. They're appointed by the Communist Party and have absolute power. So even if a village actually elects a leader, that leader just has to follow along with whatever the party secretary says, and he gets his orders from the top of the party. China's National People Congress? The BBC calls it a rubber stamp Congress. Even though there are different political parties involved, those parties are just controlled by the Communist Party, and everything they put forward is approved. It's a sham. President Hu Jintao? President Xi Jinping? China doesn't have a president. They just made that up to trick people into thinking that their brutal, oppressive communist regime is a democracy. The president of China is really the head of the Communist Party. There is no presidential election. In reality, China is in the grip of the Communist Party, and they control all the guns. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.